Welcome to the channel. Today on English Mastery Hub, we want to talk about the two most well-known English proficiency exams, namely TOEFL versus IELTS. If you are thinking of emigrating to an English-speaking country, or perhaps you'd like to go to university in America or the UK, you've probably by now come across these two exams, namely TOEFL and IELTS. But which one should you take? Today, I'm going to try and help you solve that dilemma. First of all, what is the purpose of these exams? As I said, they are both well-known English proficiency exams. In simple terms, to see that you can speak and understand English. As far as recognition goes, they are both accepted in most countries and at most universities. Although TOEFL is predominant in the US and Canada, and IELTS is more common in the UK, Australia, New Zealand. But it is really up to you to contact the university or find out on your visa requirements which of these two exams is required by the specific institution or country that you are applying to. As far as the format goes, both exams test all four English skills, namely reading, listening, speaking, and writing. But here's where the difference comes in. In the TOEFL exam, it is purely on computer, either at home or in a hall where you sit with other people and write on a computer. The IELTS, on the other hand, is done on a computer or in a paper edition. However, the speaking section of the IELTS is different. In the speaking section, you speak face-to-face with an examiner. And this may be either on the day of the rest of the exam or up to 7 days before or 7 days after the exam. So if you don't like sitting face-to-face with someone, if that makes you nervous, then perhaps think of doing the TOEFL exam, which is purely on computer. Also, I would like to point out that the TOEFL exam uses predominantly North American accents, whereas the IELTS exam employs English speakers from around the world. So if you're not familiar with accents, you need to start practicing that, listening to radio broadcasts. They may be Canadian, they may be Indian, they may be Australian, New Zealand, or from England itself. And you have to be able to understand the different accents. As far as the duration goes, the TOEFL exam is slightly shorter at 2 hours, and the IELTS exam is 2 hours and 45 minutes. The cost is pretty similar. It works out slightly differently in different countries, but on average, the cost is $200 per exam. Now, if your English currently is at a B2 or C1 level, then I suggest that you set aside 6 to 8 weeks studying 1 to 2 hours a day before attempting the exam. However, if your English is at a lower level, then you need to set aside 3 to 4 months, and during that time, first work on improving your overall English and then apply to write the exam. It's expensive and we don't want to see you wasting money, and that's why we have decided to give you these tips and techniques to help you pass the exam first time round. So I don't know if it's any clearer to you which exam you should take. From my own experience, I would say that the IELTS exam is for me slightly easier because you get more time allowed to prepare for questions and to answer questions, and also it's focused more on everyday life. The TOEFL exam is purely academic, and the time that you are allowed to answer questions is very limited. So if you don't perform well under stress, I would advise you to take the IELTS exam. If you are interested in future broadcasts, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and drop any questions or comments below. We will be sure to answer them in future broadcasts. Bye bye for now.